Hey, Shalom, Shalom. This is Norman with the DC Camp, Branch Great Millstone, back for another video. And today we have the one concerning those Edomites those Dutch Edomites from South Africa with this bullshit ass claim. But first and foremost, call halal Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, Ba'ashem Hakwadash, and of course, double honors go out to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone who deserve double honors. Salutations also go out to the fellow Akim out there on the highways and byways. Meantime, post numerous videos. That's another way of getting the word out there. All right. Hey, that's what we're doing with the time we have remaining. Wake up the remaining, hopefully elect. So what we have here is from a site called the Defiant Lawyers. I've used it's a father and daughter team of lawyers, Jakes, and oh man, this is concerning. Like I said at the opening, white South Africans receive white privilege, and this is the utter disrespect that these motherfuckers, starting with don't know if it's starting with him, but he's the face of it, your current president, DJ Trump. Just openly saying, fuck you niggers. And I'm just going to say it just like, because that's what's happening. All right, so we're going to go ahead and go into the video. I'm not going to ramble too long. This is, man, here we go.
Before we get started, please go over to Amazon.com and grab a copy of my book, Education and Justice. If you have an African American son in public school, you need this book because I teach you the many ways that public schools mistreat African American boys and what you can do to help your son. So go over there and get your copy immediately. Folks, Donald Trump has once again made his racial priorities very clear.
Yep.
He's calling accountability persecution. He's literally importing white South Africans who built wealth on stolen black land, while at the same time turning away black and brown refugees who are fleeing war, famine, and tyranny.
I'm a princess, but I'm treated like a servant and fed like a dog by my evil
who are fleeing war, famine, and tyranny. In January 2025, Trump signed Executive Order 14163, an order that shut down America's refugee program under the justification of national interests. The language of the order claimed the United States couldn't absorb more migrants, and it cites overburdened cities like New York and Denver and Springfield. It emphasized assimilation, public safety, national security, and preserving taxpayer resources. It even promised states and localities more input on who get to resettle within their borders. But buried inside that executive order was a loophole. The Secretary of State and the Secretary of Homeland Security could still make exceptions if they deem the case to be in the national.
I have to cut it right there, but that brings up a good point. Because a lot of these bills or whatever have you, in this case, executive orders, whatever, there's shit hidden within them. All right, that a lot of people, especially when it comes to those bills, this executive order aside, but some of these bills are so fucking thick as far as number of pages. A lot of these legislators or whatever have you don't read that shit page per page. They just read another to get a general idea, but what's hidden deep in that shit, they just sign off on it. All right. Again, that's part of that deception. And, they know that. All right. But here we have a clear example about hypocrisy. All right. And on the one hand, he told you all, especially with the prior administration, the Biden administration and Kamala Harris, they opened the door for all these Northern Kingdom to come in here. And that was a stunt. Because we have said all along, and the Chicago mayor, Brandon, he had mentioned, he said, well, what about all these Ukrainians and, Europeans that are coming in here? Nobody said anything about it. Exactly. And you see here, they had this thing hidden within that executive order with the phrase in the national interest. Well, that's pretty subjective, don't you think? All right, let's get a scripture real quick, because this shit, we keep telling you. All right, this motherfucker is the biggest hypocrite. Here it is. Let's start with Isaiah 32, verse 6. For the vile person is none more viler than these Edomites. That's Job 30th chapter. For the vile person will speak villainy, and his heart will work iniquity, to practice hypocrisy and to utter error against the Most High, Yahweh, to make empty the soul of the hungry, and he will cause the drink of the thirsty to fail. And eventually this is going to happen, that last part, because he's cutting everything. And you so-called black women that have shown your ass all these years, now he's pulling a rug out from under you. Now he's pulling that safety net up out from under you. You've been so proud to say, I don't need no man. Why? Because your daddy, the government, was backing you up. But what say you now? We might come back to this, but that's a whole different video as concerns the women. But I want to point out that, let's get Matthew 23:28. Even so, ye also outwardly, of course, he's talking about, Israelites here, and that the Pharisees and Sadducees. He said, so, but you could substitute that for now. These people that are in high positions, over us, whether they be Jake or Edomites. Ye appear outwardly, you appear righteous unto men, but within ye are full of hypocrisy and iniquity. All these politicians. Some years ago, what was it? Someone had asked a question. What was it? Let me see if I can find it, because the way it was done, it was sweet. Someone had asked a question. And they had described a certain profession, saying that it had the most felons, misdemeanors and felons and all kinds of shit. And everybody had guessed what, Jake, naturally, that it, had to be the NBA or NFL. And I don't even know how to word this to look it up, but come to find out, it was your congressman. I shit you not. Yes. So they put on, that outward appearance. Oh man, you have to be, clean record and all this. That's just for us. All right, that has nothing to do with it. Hopefully you figured that out. As long as a lot of you been alive. All right, this whole thing is a sham.
No interest. Now guess who doesn't qualify? You got it. Black and brown people. But guess who does qualify? You got it again. White South Africans. Because just months later, under that loophole, Trump is now allowing dozens of white Afrikaners, descendants of colonizers and apartheid enforcers and enslavers, he's allowing them to resettle in America. These refugees, or so-called refugees, claim they are being persecuted in South Africa. But let's be clear here. They're not really dealing with persecution. What they're dealing with is justice and the blank backlash from centuries of white domination. Meanwhile, actual victims, black refugees from Haiti and Sudan and the Congo and beyond, are being denied safety. And they're dealing with real.
Let me see if I can find, because the president of South Africa just did. Let me see if I can find it. Let's see. Here it is. This is Phil.
It's the Unity Reunion Parade.
Oh, not far enough. Hold on.
I can't even understand. Like,
watch Slay Queen.
Oh, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is.
Jake should not be singing that song, because that has to do with, those collars around Jake's necks while we were in slavery to alert them to the fact that we were trying to escape. Just so you know.
Greatly appreciated. Make sure you coming in, click the subscribe button. Click the like button. It's free. Don't cost you a dime to do that. A little later on tonight, after we kind of talk about what we're going to talk about, I got to share something with y'all on the app. So, we normally stream always on YouTube and the app. So, for those of you who, are on the app watching it now, or you may switch to it, around that time so you can hear what I'm going to talk about. Yeah, I got to share something with y'all. Boy. Oh, boy. It's funny. It's funny. But tonight, we're going to talk about, continue on the theme we were talking about from yesterday about the Afrikaners. And let me tell you some of these Americans something, and it wasn't FBAs. I've seen some of these white Americans call those people Afrikaners. They're not Afrikaners. They're Afrikaans is the language, and they're called Afrikaners, okay? Please don't be an ignorant American saying things like that. We can find out what people are called, what their languages are called. I mean, because, it's a running joke throughout the world sometimes that Americans are very ignorant. And when I hear people on TV saying Afrikaners, I'm like, oh, God, really? You're on TV and saying this crap? You can go find out exactly how to say that in, 2 seconds? My God. I guess I get aggravated with people doing things like that. I really get aggravated with that. But we're going to continue on that theme because some things that we need to kind of talk about, expand upon. The president of South Africa has called them out, and rightfully so. And we're going to also talk about the dangers of anti-black propaganda. And this is a worldwide thing. It isn't just targeted to South Africa. It just isn't targeted to FBAs. It's everywhere where black folks said throughout the world. They always have some sort of negative propaganda, whether you're in the Caribbean, the African continent, whether you're in Latin America, the United States, Canada, wherever black folks are at, they're always pushing a anti-black propaganda. They never push nothing good about us. And that's why it's important to have media outlets such as this one that's going to combat that propaganda that's out here against us. And, man, I totally forgot to do something that I needed to.
You are not getting successful, professional, white, middle class.
The slave also eventually thrive. They hate us. They can't stand us with a passion. And they, like they say, they hate us because they're not us. That's just bottom line. They can't do what we can do. They barely get a little struggle, and they're ready to unalive themselves and send themselves to the next world, or if they fall apart, they go. How many stories have we seen them, go lose a job? And
actually, that's the lesson behind Genesis 25. What Esau, who is the progenitor of the nation of Edom, the so-called white folks, that's the lesson learned in that he had no integrity, no patience. All right, couldn't handle tough times.
Go unalive their whole family, even the dog. You seen them stories, right? We don't do that. We lose a job. I lost my job today. When you getting your last check? Friday. I said, okay, well, we figure something out. That's how we tick as FBAs. That's how we tick. We don't get knocked down like that.
Israelites.
We know how to thrive and struggle. That's always the beautiful thing. So let's go it on and get to it, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go ahead and get to it. All right. So I don't know if I need to start off with what I played last night. Just to do a basis. Yeah. I think I do. Yeah. Let me start with the video I played last night from Bianca.
Yeah, because this is going to tell you who these people that are coming over here, all right? For those of you that do not know. It's reminiscent of when you learn the history about the motherfuckers that came over here from Britain, came to America. Those weren't the best of the best. Same with Australia. Those are the criminals, all right?
From South Africa. And just to lay a basis, because maybe some people knew, they may hadn't seen that video from last night. But I got some other stuff I got to show y'all, so don't think that's the only thing I'm going to show y'all. I'm a build. Give me a second. I'm going to build, but let me start off building here first, okay? So let me remind y'all of what we're actually getting into the United States.
This is for the Americans. If you're not an American, feel free to watch, but please try and get it to the Americans. My name is Bianca van Wyk. Born in South Africa, live in South Africa. Today you will be welcoming the so-called white Afrikaans refugees. They are there based on an offer made to them, which I must say was informed by disinformation about South Africa. Now, I've seen a lot of takes on who Americans think they are receiving. Okay, you are not getting successful, professional, white, middle-class South Africans that are fleeing South Africa. The people you are getting are the people that believe that there is discrimination against them based on their race. Keep in mind, we live in the most unequal country in the world. We have, for instance, 70% of agricultural land and agricultural holdings are owned by white South Africans. 62 to 68% of top leadership positions in corporate are filled by white males. There is a huge salary disparity between white South Africans and the rest of the population. And there are a number of other indicators which shows you that this story of discrimination based on race is false. Another thing that I wanted to say is that you will get certain so-called refugees that have experienced crime. However, in South Africa, no one is exempt. These people that you are welcoming assume because they're white, they should not experience crime. The people most affected by crime in South Africa happen to be black people that live in poverty. So as you open your doors and welcome people, and you're going to get a lot of information and disinformation from these people, please do keep that in mind. Oh, I also would like to say all the best and good luck to the Americans.
All right. Just wanted to recap with that. That's where we're going to start, okay? So let me go to what the president of South Africa had to say, Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa. Let me go to this article right here. We building. Just give me a minute. Let me see here. Boom. There we go. This was out of the BBC, okay, UK publication. White South Africans going to U.S. are cowards, Ramaphosa says, the president. So he said President Cyril Ramaphosa has called a group of 59 white South. They say 49, 59, I don't know. I mean, they keep changing the number. White South Africans who have moved to U.S. to resettle, cowards, saying they'll be back soon. I know they're going to be back. But see, it couldn't be me, because I would terminate their citizenship and make them stay here. That's what I would have done to them. It said a group of Afrikaners arrived in the U.S. on Monday after President Trump granted them refugee status, saying they face racial discrimination. It said, but Ramaphosa said those that wanted to leave were not happy with efforts to address the inequities of the apartheid past, terming their relocation a sad moment for them. As South Africans, we are resilient. We don't run away from our problems. We must stay here and solve our problems. When you run away, you are a coward. And that's a real cowardly act. Now, see, I like what the president said. Haven't we been saying that? All these people that's been running over here to the United States? Yep. Haven't we been talking about fleeing and that's not courageous? You're not trying to build anything? Let me read that again, what the president had to say. I like that. He said, South Africans, we are resilient. I haven't seen a bunch of black South Africans trying to flee. I haven't seen it. They stay in their country. They said, we don't run away from our problems. The black ones don't. They said, we must stay here and solve our problems. In other words, we're going to stay in our homeland and fight. Okay? I respect that. I respect that position. All of us want to see South Africa do good. You fighting in your homeland. You're not fleeing nowhere. Say, when you run away, you are a coward. And that's exactly what it is. It's cowardice. It's saying, and that's a real cowardly act. Now, let me continue. It said Trump and his close ally, South African apartheid era Elon Musk, has said there was a genocide of white farmers in South Africa, a claim that's been widely discredited. So the U.S. has also accused the South African government of seizing land from white farmers without paying compensation, which that's a lie. They have the bill, but they haven't done it. It said more than 30 years after the end of the decades of rule by South Africa's white minority, black farmers own only a small fraction of the country's best farmland, with the majority still in white hands. It said,
so I'm going to cut it right there, and we're going to go back to the other video. He's going to pick up about that, all right, and going to show you what these Dutch motherfuckers did at the turn of the last century.
Leading to anger over slow pace of change. In January, President Ramaphosa signed a controversial.
Hold on. Whoops. What the hell? Nope. What did I do? Let's see. There we go. Lost my spot. So
Takeda Pharmaceuticals, a global biopharmaceutical leader and innovator, working to create better health.
Safety. And they're dealing with real persecution. And these folks who are being denied, these black and brown people, they didn't steal land from anyone. They didn't colonize or enslave anyone, yet they're being excluded. This is not a fair and just refugee policy. This is white racial protectionism and good old-fashioned white privilege. And it's a mockery of our justice system. And for us African Americans, it is a direct insult. So let me talk about it. First, the policy is filled with hypocrisy.
What did I just say? Not only that, they're telling you, well, I'm not going to jump the gun.
Trump's order suspended refugee admissions from Haiti, Sudan, Afghanistan, and several other predominantly black and brown countries. But when white South Africans claimed that they were victims of racial injustice in post-apartheid South Africa, Trump made an exception. This administration, under the same order, gave those so-called refugees refugee status. No refugee program.
For those of you that don't believe us, whenever we said they're trying to pad their numbers, all right, you can't see that now.
For actual war victims. No refugee program for those who are literally running for their lives, having done no one any wrong. But a side door opens for the descendants of the colonizers. You see, this isn't about persecution. This is about protecting whiteness. And for African Americans, this is a mockery. It's a slap in the face. Trump isn't simply making exceptions. He's sending a message that whiteness deserves protection while black lives don't. He is mocking the descendants of enslaved Africans, us, by importing the descendants of slave holders.
Yep.
And all the time, that's being funded by the very nation that enslaved our ancestors. Second, South Africa has a very deep history of black oppression. That apparently doesn't matter to Trump. So let's be clear on who these refugees really are. These are white South African Afrikaners who are also descendants of Dutch and British colonizers. In 1652, the Dutch East India Company established a supply post at the Cape of Good Hope. It wasn't a company intent on good faith business trade. No, it came for conquest and to conquer black Africans. Within decades, these same Dutch people began to seize land from the indigenous black African people. And when the black Africans resisted, the Dutch massacred and slaughtered them with their high-powered guns. In 1806, the British took control of the Cape Colony and expanded white settlement even further, and displacement of African communities intensified. By the 1800s, early 1900s, black South Africans were driven completely off their land. And to keep the stolen land, these European settlers passed laws restricting African land ownership. For example, the 1913 Natives Land Act reserved, now listen to this, 87% of land for whites only, leaving only 13% for the black majority. Then in 1948,
you got to remember, what did they do here in the States? All right. With the Homestead Act, even before then, just taking lands from Gad, but the Homestead Act and then the Dawes, the exact, let's see. The Dawes Act of 1887. All right, let's see. Also known as the General Allotment Act, aimed to assimilate Native Americans into American society by dividing tribal lands into individual allotments. This act resulted in significant loss of Native American land and disrupted traditional tribal structures and cultures. And then it went further. You had to get in on the Dawes roll. Let me see if they have this down here. The Dawes Act stole 90 million acres. Get a load of that. Let's see. General allotment. Where's the Dawes roll? Let's see. Let's see, 1898. Let's see. The rolls contain more than 101,000 names from 1898 to 1914, primarily from 1899 to 1906. They can be searched to discover the enrollees' name, sex. Hold on. Go into the $5 Indian thing. The so-called 5 civilized tribes. Let's see. Watch. Let's see. Their so-called census. Today, these 5 tribes, because they're in the last several years, they have issue coming up about, Southern Kingdom Jake belonging to these tribes. But you got to understand that history. Again, who is behind the scenes, at fault for all this, and that's this damn devil. All right, but Gad is, that coming together. That Zechariah 11:14. Let's get that real quick. All right, because again, we're still under the curses. But let's get this. Let's see, Zechariah 11:14. It says, "Then I cut asunder mine other staff, even bands, that I might break the brotherhood between Judah and Israel." That's southern and northern kingdom, respectively. All right. So But you have to understand, what was it, 1682, where these devils, so we're talking about roughly 200 years prior to this Dawes Act. What they did with the stroke of a pen, they declared that there was no real distinction between us, Northern and Southern Kingdom. So you all, just to be aware of that fact. All right, look it up for yourself. All right, let's go back to the video. So again, 1913, white South Africans passed the Native Land Act, allocating 87% of the country's land exclusively to the white minority and restricting the black majority to just 13%. Motherfucker.
Apartheid became official. It became the official state policy. It was a brutal and murderous racist system.
Because you had what was known as the Boer Wars, and I think there was a 2 or 3 of them. Hey, hold on, we'll get it. So you have the Boer Wars. That was where the Dutch and the British went at each other. All right, the Boer just means farmer. The Boer Wars. All right. Let's see. All right. Damn it, what did I do that for? I need to get the first one first. All right, the first Boer War was fought from 16 December 1880 until 23 March 1881. The second was fought from October 11th, 1899 to May 31st, 1902. I believe these wars were where the first term commando came out of for the special forces. That's just one of those factoids. Let's see. So there you go. All right.
Murderous, racist system that put the nail in the coffin for black South Africans. Literally, politically, economically, socially, and figuratively. Under apartheid, now watch this, black South Africans couldn't vote. They had to carry a passbook. In other words, they had to be able to identify themselves. We African Americans know a thing or two about that because our enslaved ancestors had to do the very same thing. They were very violently policed and forcibly removed from white areas. The white Afrikaner-led government ran basically a full-blown racial dictatorship. And even after apartheid, white South Africans still controlled over 70% of South Africans' farmland and a majority of the nation's wealth. So that's what this is all about. They're trying to get, the black South Africans are trying to get their land back that was stolen from them. And now these white Afrikaners, they come here claiming they're the victims. And Trump agrees. And Trump also rejects real victims who are black refugees, again, running for their lives. White Afrikaners get protection. Black refugees from Haiti, Sudan, and Nigeria are blocked. Yes, these people are literally fleeing war, famine, political instability, unlike those white South Africans who are simply experiencing the black backlash from a majority black population who are trying to get their land back that was stolen from them. But Trump's administration slammed the door in the faces of these black refugees who come here who are really seriously victim. Now, here's the truth. Trump's refugee policy isn't about white safety or creating a safe environment for whites who are being victimized or persecuted.
I mean, every piece of this car is brand new. Like I said in the beginning, this is a brand new custom 1970 Dodge.
Or persecuted. No. It's about race. In case you don't believe me, let's briefly look at Trump's anti-black record here at home. Let's run the receipts. So in his first term, Trump gutted federal oversight of police departments. As important as that is, he also banned federal diversity training. Now, this is his first administration. He allegedly called black majority cities rat infested. He allegedly labeled peaceful black protesters thugs. Yet he praised Confederate symbols and defenders. Now, in his second term, and that's a short list for the first term, in his second term, that is, the last 3 to 4 months, he has abolished the DEI offices in all federal agencies. He has abolished civil rights offices in nearly all federal agencies. He signed an executive order banning critical race theory in school, although it's not.
And I have to stop it right there because you have to wonder for these idiots, these jakes that voted for you. I mean, voted for this for this asshole. What the hell were they thinking? What did they base their vote on? What he was saying, or did they follow his actual record of what he did? Because there's no way you can justify voting for this asshole. All right? And I know everybody's, because you got these so-called black women, they're supposed to be this, what they call the 92%, you know, because they believe their own bullshit. But both parties are working against us. It's like you haven't figured that out now. All right, what are they doing? I mean, the Democrats, as far as giving us anything of substance, not bullshit ass holidays or, no, we're talking about actual. What are you doing for your base? The people that have been your base for the last 60 years. And it's all about fluff. It's nothing substantive. All right? Where's the reparations? All right? If not that, then what other substantive things? What about a hate crime bill? Things of that actually do something for us. It's like, can't you see that neither one of these parties mean us any good?
Taught in school and just released an executive order that will militarize and unleash the police, very likely in our community. He's erasing black history. He's firing black achievers like 4-star General Charles Brown, like the former Library of Congress, Dr. Carla Hayden, and for no reason. And now he brings in white South Africans under the false banner of racial persecution. Folks, this is a very short list of the anti-blackness that we have dealt with Donald Trump. It's all one strategy to protect whiteness and to punish blackness. What's the message that he's sending to us, African Americans? It's really clear. It's an old saying. If you're black, get back. If you're white, you're all right. He's telling us African Americans that our history doesn't matter.
There you go.
Our suffering doesn't count. Mm-hmm. And our existence, our identity is disposable.
So therefore, what more do you need to hear or see? As one of my last videos title was, how much more do you? Like, damn, motherfucker keeps telling you what he is and what he's about, and our people just Damn shame.
So he's using refugee policies to reinforce a global white alliance.
Mm-hmm. Just as he's being exposed all around. How about that? 2 Thessalonians 2nd chapter. We keep telling you these things correlate. All right? These prophecies. This is another way you identify who's who.
While treating African Americans like a political inconvenience. What do you call this? Institutionalized white supremacy. And just imagine, some blacks voted for Trump or deceived other blacks to vote for Trump. And now these black Trump supporters are trying to defend their vote, or they're now trying to act pro-black. So where do we go from here? We must do what we've always had to do when faced with white supremacy. We got to fight. We got to speak up. We got to tell the truth. We got to expose this crap. We got to organize. We got to mobilize. And we got to get off the couch.
And that's exactly what we've been doing all this time. But who do you complain to? See, that's the difference here. All right, we know that we have to, hey, prayers up to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, because those are the only entities that can save us. All right, none of this earthly political bullshit. All right, because as he said earlier, this is all about Edomite/white supremacy and the protection of it. So who are you gonna take your gripe to? What, The Hague? Who runs that? All these other courts. Who runs that? For those of you that want to put your faith in your college degrees and your Edomite-backed institutions. Wow. Just wow. But that's what we're trying to tell our people. This is what you need to do. Fuck all this shit. All right? Trying to tell you who you are. All right? Who you should be praying to. All right? And this is us coming back. This is, for repentance. We just went into that tonight on a lesson. All right? All right? And with all this, and it was, King Manasseh, and with all the wickedness that he did, he still repented, all right, and was forgiven. So this is it. We realize there's that 2/3 element out there that they're just not going to get it, which furthermore illustrates why you need to separate yourself from those 2/3, all right, because, part of being whole is to be separated. All right.
And go vote. And we won't let a man who has shown blatant racism, we won't let him silence the suffering of black people, whether they come from Haiti, Nigeria, or South Africa. We see the game and we reject it. Those white South Africans should not be allowed to come here as if they are the victims. Because the truth of the matter is, they are the perpetrators of white supremacy and the descendants of white colonizers and the apartheid regime that held black Africans back for centuries. I am Reverend and Civil Rights Attorney Augustus Corbett. Thank you for watching this video.
And you gotta love, for those of you that aren't aware, from what I heard, they're putting these people in places like Iowa, Idaho, I think the Dakotas. Oh, in fact, let's see. Dozens of refugees. Let's see, blah, 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 blah. Dulles, that's just right across the river from me, down in Virginia. Hold on. All right. Da-da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da-da. Where are they going, damn it? Let's see. Let's see. Give me all this runaround. I just need to know where they're going. Let's see. Why are they being allowed? This is a good article. I might post this in the chat, in the description. I mean, he just explained to you about that executive order. Damn it. Let's see. Let's see. Damn, it's taking all this time to see. Damn, where are they going? Shit. Slovakia. White saber arrived in U.S. Let's see. Blah, 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 blah. It's 5 days ago. I need something. Where are they going? Damn it. Let's see. Yeah, they're showing you what they're really about, and you're wondering why they're pulling funding from, these museums for where a lot of our history, Jake's history. I mean, the truth is being displayed. Why? As he said, we don't matter. All right? Damn it. So I didn't mean to spend as much time on this, but I thought I asked the question the right way. Maybe it was, oh my goodness, let's see. And of course, they're going to spin, lie about, the reasons, whatever have you. But I just want to know where they are going. I want to read it to you because I've heard, but I haven't. See, this is where or press, yeah. 67,000. God dang. But where are they going? Salakia, I just don't think that, let's see, one day ago, maybe this will say something. Let's see. Let's see. Okay, some of the Afrikaners were heading to Democratic-leaning Minnesota, which has a reputation for welcoming refugees. Minnesota. Is it? No, that's Michigan. I'm thinking of what has, I think, the largest Arab population, Ishmaelite. Others plan to go to Republican states. Idaho, Alabama. Oh, damn. There's going to be some shit popping off. I guarantee you. See, Alabama. Let's see. Because they're used to, South Africans being a certain kind of way. And Jake here is not going to go for that. Let's see. Here's what, the president, like he said, Mr. Phil Scott said, speaking at a conference in Ivory Coast, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa said the white Afrikaners had ostensibly left because they were opposed to policies aimed at addressing racial inequality persisting since apartheid or white minority rule ended 3 decades ago. Yeah, so I'll put this in the less than 10% of white South Africans are out of work, compared with more than a third of their black. And see, when it concerns them, then now it's a problem. Just as the Depression back in the day here, once their unemployment got to around 25%, oh, it's a national emergency. When Jake's was well over 50. So, hey, this is what, that's why we got to get the fuck up out of here. This is why we're in that mindset. Fuck this place, let's see. So I will post this, make sure that, in the description box. But that's going to be it. Again, more lies to make themselves the victim, Wow. But that's a devil for you. By definition, yeah, that's a devil for you. So with that, hey, until the next video, hey, shalom.